Let's talk about the small Tesla and new information we learned from the earnings call, what this means for customers that are waiting for a cheaper Tesla, and more news today in this video. So I'm glad to have you back here on my channel. Let's start with the revenue. As we all know that the revenue is one indicator to increase profits as well, and profits are needed. Even though Tesla has more than $20 billion, they really need that for all the projects they have ahead, especially as well if it's coming to a smaller EV. New factories, new production lines, a lot of investments. And we know how hard this time was in 2018 when Tesla started to produce the Model 3. So right now, we can actually hope for Tesla to make even more profit to be able to afford building a smaller EV. Now, Elon Musk said we are on a 2-for-1 target. When addressing the next platform for the company, that means engineers are working on a plan to build 2 vehicles with the same amount of effort it takes to put together one Model 3. Now, this pretty much means Tesla would like to reduce the cost by 50%, be more efficient, and they can achieve that. We know that Tesla is capable of doing that, and we also know that Tesla has been challenging everything in the past. So I'm very confident Tesla will achieve that in the next 2 to 3 years. Now, the main point here is how they can reduce the 50% of the cost. Because battery-wise, there's still room to go. And we know that the battery in a car is the most expensive part that Tesla can be working on to reduce costs. Now we know that Tesla started with the Model S and Model X, and when they went to the Model 3, that was a big jump down to the production cost, and as well the efficiency was much better. Now with the Model 3 and Model Y platform, they are able to afford for a lot of people an EV. But we still have room to go. 50,000 euros, for example, in Germany for a standard range is a lot of money, still a lot of money for many people. So a smaller EV for 25 to 30,000 euros would be something that is very interesting for many people out there. Now let's look into what Tesla could do. They could improve the batteries, and we know that they are working on their own battery, but suppliers are working as well currently on LFP batteries with much higher energy density, and that is something that is very interesting. As we all know, when it comes to phones, we had big batteries many years ago, and they got smaller and smaller. And now this is something that we can look into when it comes to battery size. So Tesla could be working on getting a battery that is, for example, not 50 kilowatt hour, but 30 kilowatt hour, still achieving in the same smaller battery with higher energy density, 300 miles of range. That would be a solution to have less battery cost and in the same time more efficiency, more weight that is reduced on such a car. And this would be a way to go. I believe it's the right direction. Sadly, a lot of car makers in Germany are trying to build bigger batteries and put them in a car. But this is not the way to go. We want to be in a way efficient and not use too much from this earth. Be more efficient in achieving the same goals with less resources. Let me know what you think about this strategy that Tesla could be working on here. I think we will see such a product in the next 2 or 3 years. Now looking into the deliveries, we see some interesting comparison here from Troy, which are showing that China and US had quite a good year in 2022, but Europe, that is the problem where we are looking at. And now you might understand why many people are so upset about delivery times in Europe, because we just didn't receive a lot of cars this year compared to last year. Now in Q4, we are expecting a lot of carriers, and they are already a lot of carriers on their way to customers in Europe. Lots of people receiving a VIN, so that is good news. But Tesla is trying to catch up when it comes to the missing cars we had in Q2. Now looking into the opposite side of exporting, which is happening right now in Zeebrugge from Giga Berlin to Taiwan. We have talked about that before. Taiwan is not able to receive cars from China, so they're currently just receiving Model Y from Giga Berlin. So having a carrier moving from Shanghai to Zeebrugge would mean in the future that sometimes carriers will take back some Model Y to Taiwan. Looking into the current carriers, we see that the Globus Supreme is already on its way to Barcelona, where Copenhagen should be right now already in the Suez Canal and towards Mediterranean Sea. Grand California is well on a good way, then Viking Queen, Grand Abidjan and RCC Amsterdam. Just keep in mind, Grand Abidjan is half of a car carrier and a container carrier, so it's not a 4,000 car carrier with Tesla cars. Now let's look into more news when it comes to the price differences. We clearly see here in China, a Model Y long range is costing for a customer $54,000. On the other hand, in the US, you're paying for the same product $65,000, close to $66,000. Now that is a difference of $11,474. But the car is pretty much costing the same way. If we say higher labor cost in the US than in China, maybe the difference is going to be at the end of the day maybe 11,000. So there is a lot of profit to be made for the same product in the US. So that is where we get all the good profits from. Now, looking into China and what we could see here in the future, especially when it comes to the newly elected, not in a democratic way, but newly elected Xi Jinping, it's going to be interesting to see what's happening in the next few years here when it comes to the Chinese market. For me personally, I'm very, very hopeful that we are not only seeing the Model S and Model X coming from the US to Europe, but also I'm hoping for the entire production of the Model 3 that this one is coming to Germany as well, or in another place in Europe, because we really need that production here. This is going to be more efficient. We are less dependent on the political things happening in China, if it's lockdowns or anything else. So I believe it will be very important for Tesla to do that move. I have said that many times, but I think you understand that the dependence on China when it comes to the European customer should be less. So thank you very much for being here today. I really appreciate your time. I would be glad to have you back here tomorrow on my channel. If you were new, do consider subscribing, and thank you very much for your time. So I wish you a wonderful day. I'm glad to see you back here tomorrow. Thank you very much.